Welcome to Meeple Mentor. I'm Jared, and we're about to play Ticket to Ride. Let's take a look. I'll show you how. Feel free to pause the video as needed to follow along with your copy of the game. My goal is this video can not only teach you to play, but can be shown at the game table to help set up and teach the game at your next game session. As part of that goal, I've added chapter timestamps in the description to the different sections of the tutorial to easily recap relevant rules for you. This tutorial is brought to you in cooperation with Luck Factory Games out of Concord, North Carolina. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell below the video so you don't miss any of my latest content. Ticket to Ride is a modern classic board game designed by Alan Moon and published by Days of Wonder. Its popularity has grown since its release that multiple editions now exist with various special rules and new maps. At the core, it's a cross-country train adventure where players build routes between cities by collecting and playing matching train cards. Claim the railway routes before opponents to extend your network throughout the cities of North America. In the original edition, you'll be connecting to major cities around the continental United States. The longer the routes you create, the more points you earn. You'll earn more points for fulfilling destination tickets that require you to connect to distant cities, and the player who creates the longest continuous railway also earns extra points at the end of the game. Ticket to Ride is a fantastic gateway game into the board gaming hobby, so let's take a look first at how to set it up. Place the game board in the center of the table. Shuffle the train car cards and flip 5 cards face up next to it to create a display by the board. Place the longest path bonus card face up next to the board. Shuffle the destination ticket cards and place the deck next to the board as well. Each player should choose a color to be from the 5 available. Take all 45 plastic train pieces in your chosen color and keep them in a supply pool near you. Take the wooden scoring marker in your color as well. Each of these scoring markers should go to the start of the victory point track along the outer edge of the board. Throughout the game, players will advance this marker when scoring points. Deal 4 train car cards to each player to create their starting hand. You may look at these, but keep them secret from your opponents. Deal 3 destination ticket cards to each player. Everyone should look at these and decide which ones they want to keep. At least 2 must be kept, but players may choose to keep all 3. Returned cards should go to the bottom of the destination ticket deck. These ticket cards are in-game goals for players to shoot for, and should be kept secret until the end of the game. Any incomplete destination tickets at the end will score negative points for those players instead. The player who's the most experienced traveler gets to take the first turn. The object is to score the most points, which can be earned 3 ways. First is simply by claiming a route between 2 adjacent cities. Second is by completing destination tickets by having a continuous path of your train cars between the 2 cities on the card. Lastly, whoever has the longest continuous path will score 10 points. Starting with the first player, everyone takes turns in clockwise order until the game ends. The game end is triggered once one player's supply of train cars is reduced to 2, 1, or 0 at the end of their turn. When that happens, each player, including that player, gets 1 final turn. Lastly, final points are scored. On a player's turn, they must take 1 action. There are 3 possible actions in the game: draw train car cards, claim a route, or draw destination tickets. To draw destination tickets on your turn, take the top 3 cards off the top of the ticket card deck. You must keep at least 1 of them, but may keep 2 or 3 if you want. Unkept cards should go under the deck. There's no limit to the number of destination tickets a player can have. If there are less than 3 destination tickets left in the deck, the player only draws the cards available. Keep your destination tickets secret from other players until the game's final scoring. Incomplete tickets at the end of the game subtract their points from your final score. To properly complete a destination ticket, you must be able to trace a continuous path of your train cars from the starting city to the end city shown on the card. In order to get your trains on the map, you'll need train cards. As your action, you can draw 2 train car cards. You may take one from the face-up display of cards or draw from the top of the deck. When drawing a face-up card, immediately replace it with one from the top of the deck. Then draw your second card either from the face-up display or top of the deck. However, if the locomotive card is face-up in the display and you choose that as your first card, you may not take a second card on this turn. These are multicolored and considered wild. They can be used as any color train car. If a locomotive card comes out as the second card into the display, you may not take it this turn either. Drawing the locomotive blind off the top of the deck does not penalize you, so you may still draw 2 that turn. If at any time 3 of the 5 face-up train cards are locomotives, immediately wipe all 5 cards to the discard pile and refresh with new 5 cards straight off the top of the deck. Players may have any number of train cards in their hand at a time. Once the deck of cards is empty, shuffle the discards to create a new face-down draw deck. Make sure you take the time to shuffle thoroughly, since train cards are discarded in sets. It's possible, yet unlikely, that there are no cards left in the discard pile or draw deck. While this is the case, players cannot draw train cards. The colors of the train car cards match the colors that make up routes between cities on the map. There's purple, blue, orange, white, green, yellow, black, and red. Plus, the gray routes can be any one color of your choice. To claim a route on your turn as your action, choose 2 cities connected by a route of spaces anywhere on the board. As long as the route is empty, you can claim it. You don't have to build off of any other route. It can be off on its own. You must play a set of cards equal to the number of spaces on the route of the same color. So if choosing the route from Phoenix to Denver, you'll need to play 5 white train cars. Of course, you may sub in locomotives as you choose, since they are wild. Place the cards in the discard pile and put your train cars on the route with a train covering each space. Only 1 route can be claimed per turn, so only 2 adjacent cities. After claiming a route, immediately score points for it on the victory point track. You'll earn a different number of points based on how many trains were placed to complete the route. There's a reference card and a printed key on the game board to show you how many points you earn. For a single train car's length route, only score 1 point, 2 points for 2 trains. With a route of 3 trains used, gain 4 points. 4 trains scores 7 points, 5 trains scores 10 points, and 6 trains scores 15 points. It doesn't matter where the route was placed, nor what color, just how many spaces in the route. Sometimes cities have 2 routes between them, known as a double route. Either one can be used in a 2 or 3 player game. However, both routes are available in a full 4 player game. Even when both are available, players are limited to claiming only one of them. Only a different player can claim the other one. Final scoring happens at the end of the game once all players have taken their final turns. Once any player's supply of their own train cars have been reduced to 2 or less at the end of their turn, everyone takes 1 final turn. Throughout the game, players have been scoring points for each route claimed, so your victory points should be accurate. But to make sure there are no mistakes, you may want to recount everyone's points. Look at each player's routes and score them individually again to confirm. Otherwise, now every player reveals their collected destination tickets. Each player should show how they've made a continuous route between the 2 cities on the tickets for each one. It doesn't matter how long the total route was to get the 2 cities connected, as long as they eventually did following just your color of trains. For any destination ticket you did not complete, subtract the shown points for it from your score. Now look at everyone's longest continuous path. Whoever has the longest path gets the bonus card and gains 10 extra points to their score. If a tie for the longest path, all tied players score the 10 points. To properly count this, only take into account continuous lines of plastic trains of the same color, counting each train. A continuous path may include loops and pass through the same city several times, but any given plastic train may not be used twice in the same path. Whichever player has the most points at the end is the winner. If 2 or more players are tied for the most points, whoever has completed the most destination tickets wins. If they are still tied, the player who has the longest continuous path wins. Keep the rulebook handy and check BoardGameGeek.com for FAQs and extra content. The Meeple Mentor channel is now part of the board game community, the Gateway Network, made up of great upcoming board game content creators. The network includes Instagrammers, podcasters, YouTubers, artists, and more. Head to thegatewaynetwork.com to support new and independent board gamers. Also, I want to quickly shout out the excellent board game cafe in Concord, North Carolina, Luck Factory Games. Whether you're an avid player developing your hobby or looking to recapture the nostalgia of a game you played long ago, there is something for you in their expansive library of more than 1,000 games. Through hosting events and having game teaching volunteers, they're all about promoting diversity and inclusivity to grow the hobby. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Like and subscribe if you found this teaching helpful. Stick around to watch another Learn to Play video. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.